discover the incredible story of how 1,000 Hearts inspired the life-changing legacy of the great Maplewood diner. The sun dipped low over Maplewood, painting the town with an amber glow as the comforting aroma of fried eggs wafted through the air. 16-year-old Emma stood in the kitchen, balancing the demands of breakfast for her siblings, Sam and Lily, with the weight of the world on her young shoulders. Her heart raced. Her mother was at the diner, working her double shift, pouring her sweat and soul into serving the community. But the diner was drowning in debt, and with it, the lifeblood of their beloved town. Emma felt her chest tighten as she recalled her mother's words, "We lean on each other, Emma. That's what family and community is all about." Yet, as she poured cereal for her little brother, she couldn't shake the gnawing worry. With Mr. Johnson, the town's war hero, suffering a heart attack, hope felt like a distant memory. Suddenly, Sam's small voice cut through her thoughts. "Emma, is Mr. Johnson okay?" His wide eyes mirrored her own fears. She swallowed hard, forcing a tight smile. "He's tough, buddy. Just like you." But deep inside, Emma was scared. As days passed, her determination grew. She rallied her friends, handing out flyers for a fundraiser for Mr. Johnson, envisioning an event that would not only honor him but revive their cherished diner. Excitement bubbled in her chest as she spoke to neighbors about baking pies and sharing stories of resilience. She could feel the warmth of the community starting to swirl together. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue, but the murmurs of doubt were a stubborn echo. "She's just a girl," some said, as she passed through the diner, head held high. Emma felt their voices, like weights, pressing down on her spirit. She tried to shake it off, but the shadows appeared again, the burden of knowing her mother's hidden struggles, the shame of poverty that smothered their family like a thick fog. Would she even be able to uphold their name? As the fundraiser took shape, momentum swelled, drawing support from all sectors of Maplewood. The diner transformed into a hub of activity, joy, and laughter. As Emma decorated the makeshift stage, she felt lightness in her chest, hope creeping back into her veins. But what if they fell short? A wave of anxiety struck her again, the looming darkness reminding her that this was not just about the diner, it was everything. As the night approached, her heartbeat echoed like thunder in her ears, and she realized that leading this community was more than parental duty, it was a testament to the spirit of Maplewood. But just as she prepared to ignite that passion, a sudden glitch pulled her attention back. Would this night be the one that defined her? And as the door swung open, it lay bare the wild yet hopeful world waiting beyond. The great Maplewood diner was bustling as people arrived, filling the air with laughter and chatter. Emma felt a surge of energy surrounding her. Tables were set, decorated with handmade posters, and the sweet scent of her mother's famous apple pie wafted through the door. It felt like a celebration, a revival, like they were bringing Mr. Johnson back to life alongside the diner. Her heart pounded as she glanced around, feeling a mix of excitement and fear. "What if no one comes?" whispered a shadow in her mind. But as more familiar faces began to show up, she knew they were proving that doubt wrong. Mrs. Thompson carried a stack of pies, her face beaming like the sun. "We're here to support our own," she exclaimed, and her enthusiasm swept through the room. As the clock ticked down to showtime, Emma took a deep breath. She caught sight of Sam and Lily, who helped set the stage, their little hands working diligently. Sam's bright smile urged her forward. "You got this, Emma," he shouted, and she felt her heart swell. The crowd gathered, filling her with warmth and pride. Friends, neighbors, and even those she hadn't spoken to in years grabbed seats, their presence a reminder that they were all connected. Emma took her place at the front, clutching the microphone tightly, her palms sweaty but her resolve unyielding. "Welcome, everyone," she found her voice, projecting through the room filled with eager faces. Tonight, we celebrate not just Mr. Johnson. We honor our community, the heartbeat of Maplewood. Cheers erupted, and a weight lifted from her chest. This was more than a fundraiser, it was a symbol of hope. Just then, a hush settled over the crowd. The door creaked open once more, and that familiar figure stepped in. It was Mr. Johnson. Pale from his ordeal but determined, he walked in with the help of his son, an indomitable spirit radiating from him. Emma felt her breath catch. This was the man whose strength had once inspired so many. The room exploded with applause and cheers, as if a rock star had entered. Mr. Johnson. Emma couldn't help herself, she ran to him, enveloping him in a tight embrace. The tears threatened to spill from her eyes, but she held them back. "You're back." With a gentle chuckle, he replied, "You think I'd miss this for the world?" Emma could see the spark in his eyes, a flicker of resilience seamlessly woven into the fabric of their small town. With Mr. Johnson's reinforcement, Emma launched into the program. Neighbors shared stories, each tale a golden thread weaving together their shared experiences, laughter mingling with the occasional sniffle as memories flowed. Emma's heart soared with each moment, realizing they were stitching back together the very fabric of who they were. But as the night wore on, she caught sight of her mother, emerging from the kitchen looking weary. The vibrant energy of the event seemed to drain from her as reality etched deep lines of fatigue across her face. Emma's stomach twisted. The fundraiser was an incredible success, but at what cost? Was her mother's health too high a price for the spirit of Maplewood? Emma took a breath, feeling her heart bruise with worry. Would she be able to lift her mother's burdens while carrying the weight of the community? As shadows of doubt began to creep back in, Emma knew she had to make a choice between her family and the town she loved. The night unfolded, and as she glanced at the crowd celebrating, realization settled deep in her bones. This was just the beginning. What would happen if they really pulled together? What if this wasn't about just saving the diner, but about saving each other? As the crowd laughed and danced around her, Emma's mind raced with hesitation, unresolved uncertainty intertwined with hope. A mix of joy and anxiety filled the diner as Emma watched her community rally around her. The laughter swelled, and the music pulsed through the air, but her eyes returned to her mother, who stood in the kitchen doorway. Mary's hands trembled slightly as she wiped her forehead, the weight of exhaustion etched on her face. Each pie they served was a reminder of the sacrifices she made daily. "Mom?" Emma's voice cut through the chatter, her heart heavy with concern. "Why don't you take a break?" Mary shook her head, a tight smile on her lips. "I'm fine, sweetheart. Just a little tired." But the way her eyes fluttered said otherwise. Emma turned back, forcing herself to focus on the lively crowd, on Mr. Johnson sharing a heartfelt story with Mrs. Thompson, their laughter ringing like music. If only her mother could feel what she felt, this unbreakable bond that united them all. It was vibrant and alive, yet somehow tinged with an undercurrent of worry that gnawed at her. "Everything okay?" A familiar voice pulled her from her thoughts. It was Lily, her tiny hands holding a bouquet of daisies. "I picked these for you. They are beautiful." Emma beamed, tucking them into her hair. "Thank you, Lily." As Emma leaned down to give Lily a hug, she couldn't shake the growing fear that settled like a weight in her chest. Her mother needed rest, and every moment spent working while the community was celebrating was making Emma's heart ache more. She had a decision to make, and fast. "Hey, can you keep everyone entertained for a minute?" Emma asked Lily, who nodded eagerly. "I'll be right back." Without waiting for a response, she wove through the sea of familiar faces. "Just a minute," Emma called out, her voice a mix of urgency and desperation. Pushing open the kitchen door, she found her mother surrounded by stacks of plates, wiping down the counter. Emma placed a hand on her shoulder. "Mom, please. You need to sit down." Mary turned to her, a smile briefly flickering before it faltered. "I can't, Emma. There's still so much to do." "But look out there," Emma gestured toward the lively crowd. "They are here for you, for us. I promise I'll take care of everything. Just take a break and breathe." "I can't," her voice caught in her throat. "I can't lose you." Mary's expression softened, her defenses breaking as she finally saw the worry etched on Emma's face. Taking a step back, she sighed deeply. Okay, just for a moment. Emma guided her mother to a quiet corner, settling her into a chair, and for a moment, the chaos outside fell silent. The din of laughter faded temporarily in the warmth of their shared space. The two sat closely, fingers intertwined as lines of stress etched in Mary's face began to disappear. You've really pulled everyone together tonight, haven't you? Mary's voice was softer, tinged with warmth. I just thought maybe we could be more than neighbors, Emma confessed quietly. That we could really be a family again, with the whole community behind us. Mary looked into Emma's eyes, seeing the determination reflected back. You're growing up, my girl. And you're right, together we can carry so much more. But just then, laughter erupted again from the diner, and Emma's heart filled with purpose once more. She knew they had to do something extraordinary. Thank you for trusting me, Emma said, rising, an idea sparking in her mind. We can do this together. With a new sense of determination, she stepped back into the crowd, the vibrant energy pulling her along. Her heart raced with possibility. If they all truly came together, perhaps they could create change that rippled beyond the diner. Would they rise as a united force? Emma scanned the crowd, her mind racing with the countless ways they could help each other and herself. But as she caught sight of Mr. Johnson and Lily dancing, a nagging thought lingered. What if standing together meant uncovering deeper issues within their community? The answers felt just out of reach, but Emma wouldn't give up. And as she turned to engage with her neighbors, she felt the tension shift, a new journey awaiting her. What awaited them all if they dared to truly face what had been hidden? Emma took a deep breath, stepping back into the thrumming heartbeat of the diner. The laughter, the clinking of silverware, and the soft melodies of familiar songs surrounded her like a warm embrace. Yet beneath the surface, the question throbbed, what changes would this night bring? Gather around. She called out, her voice steady, cutting through the chatter. People turned, curious eyes meeting hers. There was something about the way she stood, the fire in her spirit reflected back at them in the flickering lights. Lily darted back from a game of duck-duck-goose. What's going on? She asked, her excitement infectious. Emma smiled, holding up a hand to quiet the crowd. Tonight, this isn't just about dinner and fun. It's about us, about our community. I believe we can do more than support one another with laughter and stories. We can make real changes that matter. The room broke into murmurs, some faces filled with skepticism, others with intrigued curiosity. Mr. Thompson, a local farmer, crossed his arms, raising an eyebrow. What do you mean, Emma? Emma's heart raced. I've been thinking, what if we come together not just tonight but beyond this diner? What if we started initiatives to help one another? We can address our issues, whether it's food insecurity or helping our elders, or even working on local projects. We could become a model for what community means. Her words hung in the air like the scent of freshly baked pie. The silence stretched as her neighbors processed the idea. What do you have in mind? An older woman called out, her voice thin but firm. Maybe we could start with a community garden. Emma suggested, the idea flowing from her heart. We could grow our own food and share it when people are in need. A ripple of excitement moved through the crowd, and Emma felt hope flickering. A garden could really bring us together, Lily piped up, enthusiasm radiating from her tiny frame. And we could have parties with the food we grow. More voices joined in, painting their visions over hers like brushstrokes on a canvas. They spoke of repairing the town's playground, organizing food drives, of offering weekend classes to share skills from baking bread to basic carpentry. Mary stood at the kitchen doorway, listening, a warm smile replacing the weariness on her face. She glanced at Emma, pride shimmering in her eyes. This was her daughter, blooming in a way she had yet to see, but as Emma looked around, taking in the hopeful faces of her neighbors, another thought crept in, a reminder of the tension they had overlooked, the struggles that lay beneath the surface. What if not everyone wanted to change? What if they faced opposition from those wanting to keep things just as they were? All right, but it won't be easy. Mr. Johnson finally spoke up, his voice gravely yet comforting. We've got challenges that run deeper than planting seeds. We need to be ready to face those head-on. Emma nodded, recognizing the weight of truth in his words. You're right. We can't just plant flowers and ignore the weeds choking them. We have to tackle everything together, the good and the bad. The room buzzed with energy, anticipation crackling in the air. Yet, somewhere in the back of her mind, Emma knew the real challenge lay ahead, beyond the excitement of the moment. She had a feeling this community wanted change, but would they truly unite when the tough times came? As she finished speaking, her heart quickened. If they were to undertake this journey together, they would need to first open up about the challenges they faced. What stories lay buried beneath their laughter tonight? Let us meet every week, to talk, to plan, and to support one another, Emma stated, her voice strong. I can't promise it'll be easy, but I promise it'll be worth it. As the crowd cheered their agreement, hope surged within her. But as they began to disperse, Emma's pulse quickened. Each face swirled with excitement, but what would they uncover in those discussions? What if bringing their struggles to light only ignited deeper divisions? Determined, Emma pushed those feelings aside. Tonight, they had lit a spark. Now she had to find a way to keep that flame alive even when obstacles rose up to threaten it. Would they stand together in the face of adversity? Emma resolved to find out, ready to face whatever was about to come. And as the laughter echoed through the diner, she felt the weight of the future bearing down, both daunting and exhilarating. What secrets would they find that could change everything? Emma glanced around the diner, the energy still crackling like the last embers of a campfire. People chatted animatedly, but her thoughts swirled with a mix of excitement and trepidation. She could see their faces filled with hope, that was the fuel they needed. But how long would it last? After the last chair scraped against the floor, Emma knew they needed to solidify their plans. Let us set a date for our first meeting, she said, her voice rising above the din. Next Friday, same time? We'll come prepared to share our ideas and issues. Sounds good to me. Lily exclaimed, grabbing her best friend's hand and bouncing on her toes. Mr. Johnson nodded slowly, still processing everything. As long as everyone is ready to be honest, he said, his brow furrowed. We can't sugarcoat things if we want change. Agreed. Emma replied, feeling the weight of his words. It would shake them out of their comfort zones, but that was exactly what they needed. The conversations morphed into laughter and chatter as people drifted back to their tables to finish meals or grab their coats. Emma caught sight of her mother in the kitchen, working diligently. Mary looked up, wiping her hands on a towel. They locked eyes, and Mary nodded with a knowing smile. Emma felt a surge of gratitude for the support she'd received from her family. As the last of the customers left, Emma took a moment to breathe in the lingering smells of fried food and fresh coffee. It reminded her of countless evenings spent here, laughing with friends and immersing herself in the community spirit. But tonight was different. They had ignited something bigger than a typical diner gathering. Hey, Mom. What do you think? Emma asked, sidling up beside her. I think you did a great job tonight, Mary said, her eyes warm. People feel your passion. You've inspired them. Emma beamed, but doubt still lingered in her mind. Do you really think they'll come back next week? I mean, what if I misjudged everything? Mary paused, her expression serious. Change is never easy, Emma. You might find some support, and some resistance. But that spark you created? It can't be extinguished easily. In that moment, Emma realized her mother held the wisdom of experience. It brought her comfort like a cozy blanket on a chilly night. Thanks, Mom, she said softly, squeezing her mother's hand before stepping back into the diner. On the following Friday, she arrived early, her heart racing with anticipation and anxiety. As people trickled in, the atmosphere felt electric. Emma snapped into leadership mode, guiding folks to find seats, filling glasses, and cracking jokes to lighten the mood. The familiar rhythm of the diner returned, but now it had an undercurrent of purpose. As everyone settled in, Emma stood at the head of the table to begin. Remember the plans we talked about last week? She started. She saw heads nodding, and a surge of hope flickered inside her. Tonight, let us dive into the first steps of our community garden. What do you all think? I think it's time to get our hands dirty. Mr. Thompson chimed in, enthusiasm in his voice. But just as the energy surged, the door swung open. Emma's heart stopped as she caught sight of a familiar face, Bill, the mayor. A wave of tension swept through the room. The excitement dimmed, replaced by a collective uncertainty. Bill was known for his cold demeanor and reluctance to support new ideas. "Good evening, everyone," he said with a forced smile. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything too ambitious." Emma felt her stomach twist. What was he doing here? Didn't he have better things to tend to? We're just getting started," Emma replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "We're discussing community initiatives to help one another." "Really?" he said, raising an eyebrow. "Interesting. Just remember, changing things isn't as simple as planting seeds." The room went silent, anticipation lining every face. Emma felt a knot of fear tighten in her chest. Would these people still believe in their vision? "Maybe you should want to listen instead of push us down," she replied, a surprising boldness igniting within her. Bill's gaze hardened. "Just be careful where you tread." The weight of his words loomed over them as they veered into uncharted territory. Would Bill's skepticism stifle their dreams before they even began? Emma steeled herself. Whatever challenge lay ahead, she would be ready. But her heart raced with questions. Could the community hold its vision together against such pressure? Would the mayor's disapproval be the obstacle that stopped them in their tracks? She took a deep breath, determined to push forward. The fate of the garden rested on their next words, and the stakes had just gotten higher. Emma's pulse pounded in her ears as she scanned the room. The faces filled with anticipation now reflected a mix of apprehension and hope. The mayor's presence was like a storm cloud hovering over their joyous plans. She couldn't let that dampen the flicker of courage growing inside her. "Let us not be discouraged," she said, trying to lift the mood. "We can tackle the challenges together. That's what this is all about." Mr. Johnson cleared his throat. "The mayor may have a point, but isn't that just another reason to ensure that our voices are heard? We're tackling something bigger than ourselves here." His words stirred a sense of unity, and Emma felt a spark of optimism flickering again. The crowd began to murmur, exchanging glances and nodding at one another. Emma could see the spark reigniting. "What if we used this opportunity to invite him in?" Lily suggested, her eyes wide with excitement. "Maybe he just needs to understand how much we care." Emma felt her confidence swell. "Yes. Mayor, we'd love for you to hear everything we have planned. Come on, join the conversation." Encouraging cheers rose around the room, surprising even herself. Bill crossed his arms, a skeptical look lingering on his face, but he didn't flinch. "All right, I'll listen," he begrudgingly agreed, taking a seat near the back. With a deep breath, Emma dove into their plans. "We want to create a community garden that will not only beautify our neighborhood but also provide fresh produce to those in need. Can you imagine a place where families work together, learning and sharing?" Lily added, "And we want everyone involved. Kids learning about nature, parents bonding over gardening, and even local businesses can join to support this project. It's a community effort." As Emma spoke, she could see acclamations rising from the crowd, their excitement infectious. Each idea sparked energy. They exchanged thoughts on various plants, shared gardening tips, and built plans that seemed to leap off the table. Then, Emma's gaze caught Bill's. He was listening now. His brow furrowed, but she saw curiosity flicker behind his cold exterior. The tension in the room began to shift, melting into something warmer. Someone suggested they create a committee to oversee the project. "We can keep it organized." "Create a structured approach," Mr. Thompson said, glancing shyly at the mayor for approval. "Sounds like smart planning," Bill replied, his tone neutral. "But you'll need more than enthusiasm to make this work. You'll need funds, permits a ripple of concern spread through the room. But just as Emma felt the hope falter, an idea sparked in her mind. What if we held a fundraiser? She proposed, her voice gaining resolve. We can invite the community to come together, showcase what we're passionate about, and even get local businesses involved. A murmur of agreement flowed around the room, growing louder. Bill sat straighter. There was still skepticism in his eyes, but Emma detected something else, a flicker of admiration. That's the spirit, he said slowly. But remember, the execution of these plans will define your success. Emma nodded. It was a challenge she'd gladly accept. They all would. As the night continued, laughter replaced tension. Ideas didn't just get shared, they thrived. Emma's heart soared. Maybe they really could change things. Maybe they weren't just planting seeds, they were cultivating a garden of connections, courage, and hope. Just as the meeting wound down, a silence fell as everyone looked to Emma. So, who's ready to get their hands dirty? She asked, her voice carrying the promise of something greater, and then came the response, a chorus of eager voices echoing back to her, and in that moment, Emma understood the stakes. This wasn't just a community garden. It was a chance to unite, to love, to transform their little corner of the world, but in the back of her mind, a nagging question remained: would they be able to navigate the bureaucracy ahead? Would they truly be able to inspire lasting change, or would the weight of regulations bury their dreams? Outside, the stars began to twinkle. In this tiny diner filled with 1,000 hopes, Emma felt a sense of destiny unfurl within her. Tonight, they hadn't just planted seeds in the ground, they had planted seeds in each other's hearts. Yet still, the looming shadow of doubt persisted, waiting for its moment to strike. How far could they really go before their resolve was put to the test? The next morning, Emma awoke with the sun streaming through her window and a mix of excitement and anxiety swirling in her. She had barely slept, her mind racing with visions of the community garden and the fundraiser that could make it all happen. As she tossed aside her blankets, she felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. This wasn't just about planting flowers or tomatoes, it was about planting dreams in hearts that lived in the shadow of doubt. After a quick breakfast, Emma grabbed her notebook and headed to the local park, where many of her neighbors gathered for morning walks or jogs. She reached out to some familiar faces, sharing her vision sprinkled with enthusiasm. We could really use your help. Imagine transforming that empty lot into something beautiful. Some faces lit up with hope, while others remained skeptical. James, an older gentleman who always spoke his mind, raised his eyebrow. That's a lot of work, Emma. Hope it's not just talk this time. His words stung, but Emma swallowed her disappointment. I understand your concerns, but change comes with effort. We can't just wait for someone else to do it. She felt her resolve strengthen, fueled by each conversation she had. By the end of her walk, she had gathered several volunteers willing to help. Each promise felt like a small seed planted in the early morning soil, ready to sprout with time and care. Later that afternoon, Emma met up with Lily at the diner, armed with a list of potential sponsors from local businesses. We need to reach out to as many people as we can. Maybe even organize a meeting for volunteers this weekend, she suggested, her voice bubbling with determination. Lily nodded enthusiastically, tapping her fingers on the table. Definitely. And we can set up a social media page to draw in more folks. Maybe even some local influencers. It could get the word out quickly. As the two of them brainstormed, a new idea came to Emma. What if we included cooking demonstrations or crafting sessions at the fundraiser? It could be fun for families and show the community what we're truly capable of creating. Just then, Bill walked in. Emma felt a shiver run through her but quickly reminded herself that he was now part of this journey, too. Sensing their energy, he approached the table. What is this about cooking demonstrations? He asked, arms crossed but curiosity flickering in his eyes. Emma took a breath and explained, her excitement spilling over. We thought it might attract more people and showcase what we hope to grow in the garden. Fresh produce could be featured in meals, and people could learn more about nutrition. Bill considered this. You think people will show up for that? Absolutely, she said, confidence in her words. This can be a festival of sorts. We want to make it engaging for everyone. It's about building connections. For a moment, the three of them shared a hopeful silence, filled with the budding promise of collaboration. But even as excitement hung in the air, Emma felt the familiar weight of doubt flicker in. Would they truly get enough support? Would their plans flourish, or would they wither under the scrutiny of rules and regulations? As the afternoon sun cast long shadows across the diner, Emma suddenly realized they needed to act fast. The countdown to their first meeting was ticking away. She stood, determination fueling her. Okay, we've got work to do. She felt the warmth of resolve ignite in her chest as they quickly began drafting a plan, yet, as preparations took shape, Emma couldn't shake an unsettling thought. Just how much could they really achieve? And who would they become when the dust settled? The answers seemed as elusive as the wind whispering through the trees outside. As they finalized their committee and scheduled their first community meeting, the thrill of anticipation mixed with threads of fear, leaving Emma wondering what kind of legacy they would ultimately create together. Would it become the turning point they all dreamed of, or a mere flicker destined to fade? With that question in her heart, she prepared to face whatever came next. But one thing was certain, the real journey was just beginning, and she felt the weight of the world on her shoulders, a challenge she couldn't ignore. What awaited them ahead? Emma's heart raced as the day of the first meeting arrived. She stood at the entrance of the community center, fidgeting with her notebook, each page filled with ideas, hopes, and a hint of desperation. The air buzzed with anticipation, and she could feel both excitement and anxiety creeping up her spine. Would anyone even show up? As she glanced at the chairs set up in a semicircle, her nerves flared. A small knot of doubt twisted in her stomach. What if only a handful of people came? What if they didn't care? Shaking off the thoughts, she took a deep breath and reminded herself of the bigger picture. She was here to inspire change, to rally her neighbors around this dream. Lily arrived a few minutes later, her contagious enthusiasm lighting up the room. Emma, it's going to be great. Just look at this space. She motioned to the bright, airy community center filled with hope and potential. Emma smiled back, grateful for her friend's unwavering support. As the clock ticked closer to 6, Emma spotted familiar faces drifting in, neighbors, families, and even a few kids curious about what was in store. As they settled into their seats, she felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. Maybe they were ready for something new after all. Emma stood at the front, her voice steady but filled with warmth. Thank you all for coming. I know many of you have busy lives, so it means a lot to see you here. She felt a rush of comfort knowing they were united by a shared vision. Today, we're here to talk about transforming that empty lot into a community garden, a beautiful place for all of us. As she shared her ideas, gesturing animatedly, she caught glimpses of smiles and nods across the room. The energy shifted, flowing from her, an electricity that ignited hope. When she mentioned cooking demonstrations and crafting sessions, a hand shot up. What about inviting local chefs to do the demonstrations? A voice called out from the back. Emma's eyes widened, her heart soared. That's an amazing idea. We can make it a community event, cooking classes, healthy meals, promoting local farms. Lily chimed in, bouncing on her toes. And we could set up booths where local artisans sell their crafts. It'll draw in crowds and make it fun for everyone. As ideas bounced back and forth, Emma felt like she was witnessing a flower bloom before her eyes. Each suggestion made the whole concept grow more vibrant, more alive. What began as their small dream started to feel like a united purpose, yet, just as the excitement peaked, James raised his hand. You're all painting a beautiful picture, but what's the plan if this doesn't work out? What if we don't get enough support? The room fell silent, the weight of his question tangible. Emma swallowed hard, feeling that gnawing doubt creeping back. Shaking it off, she stood tall. Any great effort comes with risk, James. But imagine what we can achieve together. Let's focus on solutions, on inspiring one another. A gentle murmur of agreement filled the space, and Emma's heart swelled. They were in this together. Doubt and fear were no match for the spark they were creating. As they wrapped up the meeting, a palpable sense of hope lingered in the air. They planned for the next steps: community events, outreach, and social media discussions. Emma felt lighter, as if she were emerging from a long tunnel into a sunlit field, yet in the depths of her heart, she still sensed shadows lurking. What challenges would lie ahead? How would they navigate the storm of setbacks that might threaten this dream? As Emma stepped out into the cool night, the first stars twinkled above her. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were just at the beginning. There were still hurdles to jump, uncertainties to face, and dreams to fight for. And just as she took a deep breath, ready to dive into the journey ahead, a sudden ping on her phone startled her. An unexpected message from Bill read, "I've been thinking, are you ready for the surprise I have for the garden project?" With her heart racing again, Emma wondered what on earth he could mean. She knew one thing for sure: this journey was about to take an unexpected turn. Emma's fingers hovered over her phone, the screen glowing softly in the night. The message felt loaded, almost heavy with potential. A surprise? Was it about the garden project? Her heart thumped in anticipation. She typed back quickly. "What's the surprise, Bill? I'm curious." Waiting for his reply felt like eternity. She paced around the community center parking lot, her mind racing through 1,000 possibilities. Maybe he had found a funding source? Or perhaps he'd secured a partnership with a renowned chef. Just then, her phone chimed again. "Meet me at the cafe tomorrow at 10 a.m. I think you'll love what I have to share." Emma's pulse quickened. Intrigue washed over her, agitating her excitement like a soft wave crashing. But what did he mean? She shook her head to dispel the uncertainty. She'd have to wait until morning to uncover whatever thrilling possibility lay ahead. Later that night, Emma struggled to sleep. She replayed the evening in her mind, those faces, the energy, the hope. Each idea floated through her thoughts like a firefly, luminous and transient. But fear also lingered in the corners of her mind like a persistent shadow. What if they failed? What if her dream crumbled before it even began? By morning, the thoughts still spun in her head, interspersed with excitement as she headed to the cafe. The familiar smell of fresh coffee mingled with baked goods filled the air, adding warmth to the cool morning. Bill waved from a corner booth, a big smile on his face. "Emma. Over here." She hurried over, her stomach fluttering with curiosity. He presented a folder with a flourish as she sat down. "Inside this are plans and contacts I've been working on," he said, his eyes glinting with enthusiasm. As she opened the folder, her breath caught. The first page was a beautifully designed proposal for their community garden, complete with renderings of what it could look like. Each page detailed possible partnerships, funding options, and workshops. This is incredible, Bill," she exclaimed, flipping through the sheets in disbelief. Her heart raced as she read names of local businesses, individuals willing to sponsor events, and even a list of volunteers eager to help. "Wait. There's more." He flipped to the last page, revealing a handwritten letter from a prominent local chef who expressed interest in collaborating on cooking classes. Emma's eyes widened. "This is amazing. How did you manage all this?" Bill chuckled, a proud grin stretching across his face. "I knew you needed a boost, so I reached out to a few connections. Seems there are a lot of people who believe in your vision." An overwhelming tide of gratitude flooded over Emma. For the first time, she felt a solid foundation for their dream. It wasn't just hers anymore, it belonged to the community, propelling her forward. As they discussed each point, ideas flowed. They outlined upcoming meetings to solidify plans, brain talent for workshops, and even think about a grand opening celebration. The energy between them bubbled with possibility, and hope rekindled in Emma's heart. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again. This time it was a group text from some of the meeting attendees. They were all excited about organizing the first event together, a community barbecue to kick off the garden project. Emma read the messages, her heart swelling with pride. "Look." She pointed at her phone, sharing the joyful chaos of ideas with Bill. But then, amidst the excitement, doubt tried to sneak back in. What if the response isn't as strong as we hope? What if we can't pull it all together? She whispered, barely trusting her voice. Bill's expression turned serious. Emma, fear is part of every journey. What matters is how we choose to respond. We stand together, and that's where the real strength lies. His words wrapped around her like a reassuring blanket. She nodded, grateful for his presence. They were truly building something beautiful, together. As the two made solid plans for the coming weeks, Emma felt the weight of her worries lift. But as they left the cafe, another thought pierced through her moment of hope. Would the community rally behind this garden as they believed they would? That question hung in the air, almost palpable, casting a gentle shadow over her bubbling excitement. Emma stole one last glance at Bill, knowing that wherever this journey took them next, they would face it head-on together. Little did she know, another surprise awaited her. When she returned home, her neighbors were gathering outside her door, holding hands and whispering. Something was brewing and the air hummed with anticipation. What was their next step? The sun dipped low in Maplewood again, casting a golden hue over the streets as Emma stepped into the warmth of her home. She could still feel the pulse of excitement from her meeting with Bill. But as she approached her door, an unexpected scene unfurled before her eyes. Neighbors stood together, their faces lit with determination, a sense of community bubbling in the air. Emma's heart skipped a beat. "What's happening?" she asked, her voice barely containing her curiosity. Mary stepped forward, her eyes shimmering with pride. "Emma, we couldn't wait until our next meeting. We wanted to show you we're ready to support the garden project." One of the neighbors held up a poster. "We're forming committees to help, Emma. From planning the barbecue to organizing planting days. Everyone's on board." Joy surged through Emma like fireworks lighting up the night sky. Her vision was coming to life, transforming from a mere idea into a tangible reality. She couldn't help but smile, tears of happiness welling in her eyes. "You mean it? You really want to do this?" "Of course," shouted Mrs. Thompson, her voice as warm as the summer air. "You brought us together, Emma. We believe in this. We believe in you." Lily squeezed her hand tightly. "We're all in this together. Every one of us." The moment felt electric, and Emma's heart swelled. "Okay, Em. Let's plan the barbecue. Let's showcase everything we can do as a community." They brainstormed right there, ideas swirling as people threw out suggestions, eagerness weaving them closer. Emma could see that the seeds of hope were not only planted in the soil but in the hearts of her neighbors. As night fell and laughter echoed, an unbreakable bond had formed. Emma could almost see it, a web of connection, stretched across the diner and into each of their homes. The shadows of doubt that haunted her began to lift, replaced by a vibrant promise. But as plans took shape, Emma suddenly remembered. By validating their community's strengths, what were they risking? What challenges might arise from unearthing the town's buried issues? "Remember, this isn't just about gardening. We will face the tough stuff together too. We need to be open about our struggles and support each other through them," Emma reminded the group, her voice sinking into the room. The air grew quiet, but then Mr. Johnson spoke. "You're right, Emma. Facing challenges together is as important as celebrating our victories. If we navigate them honestly, we grow stronger." And they all nodded, sharing glances that spoke volumes. They were ready, emboldened by their united purpose. Days turned into weeks, and the barbecue turned into a gathering of connections, friendships strengthening with every whispered secret and laugh shared over grilled hot dogs and warm pie. The community came alive, embracing its cracks and edges with a renewed spirit. Emma watched as families gathered, brought together by love for their small town and the realization that they were never truly alone. The children frolicked, making memories, adults engaged in real conversations, their shared laughter ringing through the air like a joyful melody. As that night deepened, the town celebrated not only the beginning of a garden but the revival of a spirit, transcending the limits each person thought they had. When the first plants broke ground, Emma couldn't help but rejoice. She stood alongside her neighbors, soil beneath their nails and smiles lighting their faces. "Together, we've watered this dream, and look at it grow." But then came the unexpected twist. Just as they finished planting, a harsh voice broke through. "What are you all doing?" Bill's voice echoed, his demeanor unyielding. This is against zoning codes. The laughter dropped like an elevator plummeting, weighty silence mingling with disbelief. Emma's heart sank. Was this the end? But then, stronger than any doubt, she felt the warm hands of her neighbors beside her. Their support surged, like a wave ready to crash through obstacles. Standing tall, she stepped forward, her heart pulsing with newfound strength. We're doing something beautiful here, Bill. This is our community, our garden. We don't have to hide anymore. The air stiffened, anticipation crackling like a fire ready to ignite. Yet Bill took a moment, processing the resilience that enveloped them. After a pause that felt endless, he sighed deeply, loosening his crossed arms. All right. But you need to comply with the guidelines. We can work through this if you choose to be transparent. Relief rushed over the crowd, cheers erupting in celebration. Looks like they might just let us keep growing. Emma cheered, hope bursting in her chest. Her vision had not only taken root, it had blossomed and taken flight. The community had proven that together, they could overcome any challenge. They were united, facing the future with conviction, and Emma realized this was a promise fulfilled not just for their town but for every heart that embraced it, and as the stars twinkled brightly above Maplewood, Emma felt the warmth of family and community wrap around her like a blanket, knowing they would face whatever storms may come together. The journey had only just begun, and it would be extraordinary. Now is the time for you to make an impact. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire and empower you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help bring these stories to a larger audience. It truly makes a difference. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. I want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this amazing transformation. Only true fans like you understand the importance of supporting this channel through these actions.